Okay, so the next document is the CD, also known as the closing disclosure. This is part of the settlement documents. It goes hand in hand with the ALTA. Years ago, we only used to have one document called the HUD-1. Now it's two parts because they want the buyers to be more aware of their closing cost. So now that's why when you're dealing with a buyer, the lender has to disclose, which is the disclosure statement, to the buyer 3 days in advance before settlement. Years ago, we used to not do this, but because there were a lot of people who were defrauded by predatory lending, now the buyer needs to get this document 3 days in advance to make sure that these numbers match with what they were told when they applied for the loan. It's called the Disclosure Act. So the CD is even simpler. And this is, I'm going to show you how to explain it to the seller. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is what you're supposed to get today, but because you have some expenses, that's not what you're going to get. Sales price of the property, credit for real estate taxes, then you're supposed to get this at closing. But because you have closing expenses, $12,000, and then you're paying off a mortgage of $125,000, and then you're giving the buyer a seller closing cost or seller's assistance of $12,000, then you're really only going to walk away with $64,000. Okay? Why? Because this is what you're supposed to get, $213,584, and then these are your closing expenses plus payoff, $149, and then you subtract those numbers, and this is what you're going to walk away with. Now you go in more detail. This document only has the seller's expenses. Remember in the ALTA we had two columns and then we have two sides, seller and buyer. This is only seller. So here are the miscellaneous expenses that have to do with the title company. Here we have the transfer taxes, and then here we have real estate taxes, certification, franchise fee, and the commission. Then it all adds up to $12,013. And then it has to match with this number. So you go and tell me, you go and go to the seller and say, when you add those numbers, it has to match here, and that's why you walk away with this. Very simple, not long, and that's how you explain the CD to your seller, and you already know what it means. Any questions?